Boston City Councilor and candidate for Mayor Andrea Campbell is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. Born in Boston, now looking to make history in her hometown. Can this champion of the neighborhoods bring a new era to City Hall? She's here this morning to make her case. We go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR. I'm Ed Harding, along with News Center 5's political reporter Janet Wu. And we are now 9 months into the COVID-19 pandemic, and we do continue to follow all social distancing protocols. As you can see, Studio C, rather large, makes all of that possible here. And our guest this morning is Boston City Councilor Andrea Campbell. She joins us via Zoom. She has served as City Council President, the first black woman to do so during her tenure at City Hall. And now she would like to do that one better and become the first woman to serve as mayor. She's a resident of Mattapan. She's married, the mother of 2 young sons. Great to have you with us. And first of all, family well during the pandemic?
Everyone is doing well, and thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, Councilor. Mayor Walsh this week agreed to implement all of the recommendations of his Boston Police Reform Task Force, and he says he'll do it within 6 months, although some of them still have to be negotiated with the union. Is he going far enough, do you feel?
Well, I don't want to take a moment to just take a step back, right? There are many who are suggesting that Boston and our policing is different or better than what we're seeing in other municipalities across the country. And while we haven't had a defining incident such as in Ferguson, Baltimore, or Minneapolis, we do have our own concerns here and bias in our policing. You know, just recently I had to subpoena data, stop and frisk data, that showed that over 70% of the police stops last year were of Black residents, even though they only make up a quarter of the population. This tells me we have profound work to do. I commend the task force members for the work they've done. The recommendations are a step in the right direction, but we can go farther. If we want greater diversity in our public safety agencies, all 3 of them, we need to do more with respect to civil service. We need to pass the ordinance with respect to the Civilian Review Board. And we absolutely need to reallocate some percentage of the Boston Police Department's overtime budget, which is over $70 million, for programs that get at the root causes of violence. So there's a little bit more that we could be doing.
So in other words, you want to see more money taken out of the police budget as opposed to letting it remain where it is and not increasing as Mayor Walsh has suggested.
We have a police budget that's over $400 million, overtime budget that's over $70 million. And we all know, as hard as our police officers work, there is no way that they alone can solve the issues of violence in the city of Boston. And if we want to solve those issues, we're going to have to address the root causes and redirect some of those monies for programs and initiatives that address mental health, trauma, poverty, racial wealth gap, provide jobs, housing, and so much more for people in the city of Boston. That's how we're going to address the issues of violence in the city.
Of course, you know that the union has said that these ideas that the mayor backs are both expensive and unnecessary. What's your response?
Based on the why we are pushing for these reforms, and mind you, advocates, including my predecessor on the council, have been pushing for these reforms for decades. We have reports from over 10 years ago that require us to think about how do we reimagine our policing so that it is more transparent, more diverse, and more accountable. And right now, we do not have everything in place to ensure that. The Civilian Review Board is absolutely necessary in order to create greater accountability. The current apparatus, the co-op panel, is ineffective. Former members of that panel also talked about how ineffective it was. So this is a time for all of us to come together to recognize the incredible work that our officers do in community, but to say we can do more in partnership in order to create a department that's more diverse, more accountable, more racially just, and more transparent.
So here we are on Sunday morning. The state's ban on evictions ended yesterday. Governor Baker offered more money to help tenants, but demonstrators still went to his house and protested. Mayor Walsh is asking landlords to uphold the federal moratorium. So what is or isn't being done that should be done?
Well, first and foremost, it is completely sad and unacceptable that in the midst of a pandemic, we even have to be worried about people being removed from their homes. I am already fielding a lot of calls from constituents who are in great fear of being evicted. So we need to do everything in our power. First and foremost, we need to be pushing the state to extend the moratorium. But of course, folks need solutions right now in the immediate. And so that involves making sure that there is funding and resources available in the rental relief fund for our constituents. In addition to that, our folks need lawyers the end of the day, we can send them their rights and notices regarding their rights, but they need effective advocates. And I applaud the legal community for standing up and offering volunteer services, but we need a lot more people to step up and provide legal services to these tenants in this moment in time.
It's also a double-edged sword, though. I mean, and yes, the tenants have issues, but the landlords who have mortgages, they have issues as well. So it's a double-edged sword.
No, that's right, and no one's discounting that. There's a lot of work, of course, to work creatively with our tenants and our landlords in partnership. But let's all recognize we're in a pandemic, right? None of us created this. It's sad. People are dying. They're sick. They're losing their jobs. And the last thing we want is is for folks to be homeless. And let me tell you, it's more expensive to deal with someone who is homeless than it is to keep them in their homes. And so we're having these conversations in partnership with our landlords who are also stepping up to do the right thing.
And obviously at the heart of it all is the pandemic, which is seeing rises in numbers in the city of Boston. In fact, in many places. Mayor Walsh is ready to crack down on parties in the neighborhood. In fact, encouraging people to call 911 if they see a party going on. Is the mayor going far enough?
So I will say, COVID-19 has devastated the city, but has devastated especially communities of color. My current district is largely a district of color, predominantly Dorchester, Mattapan. We have had higher infection rates since the very beginning, higher numbers of job loss, unemployment, small businesses that are folding, and absolutely the safety of our residents is at the forefront. And so in order to ensure that, we need to remind folks the pandemic is out there, wear your mask. Partying in large numbers is not the way to go. It creates incredible risk, not only for you, but for the community. So I do think we can do a lot more when we actually have, I think, greater intentionality for communities of color in neighborhoods that have always had higher infection rates. And that's what I want to see, more from the administration with respect to that.
Let's talk about Boston schools, Councilor. A court this week sided with Mayor Walsh against the teachers union, saying some teachers should remain in the classroom, for example, special needs students. Do you agree?
So I do hope we resolve this quickly. I will tell you, I've been really frustrated with the district and the administration with respect to this because there's been such confusion. I pushed for remote learning in the very beginning because there were a lot of questions that were unanswered regarding the ventilation systems, the HVAC systems in our buildings. There were questions around how we deliver food safely. But I said remote learning with a phased-in approach, bringing back our early learners and our special needs students who absolutely require in-person instruction. And I do think there's a way to do that now using some of our safest buildings, bringing back or keeping a small subset of students in person for in-person learning who absolutely need it, and working with our teachers in partnership to make sure that happens.
So you agree that the mayor is doing the right thing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think I've said clearly I've been frustrated from the very beginning. It's been confusing at moments all over the place with respect to the planning. I think we could have been more proactive. Instead, we're being a lot more reactive. But I do think in this moment in time, we have to come up with a resolution. So I'm pushing the administration, the district, and all stakeholders to do that. But there is a way to protect our teachers, keep them safe, while also bringing back a small amount of students who absolutely need in-person instruction, and those are many of our special needs students. So I'm pushing the administration to resolve this quickly. So
let's talk about the mayor's race. You've said that you are running against Marty Walsh, but reality is your colleague on the city council, Michelle Wu, is also running. So no matter who is your target, Mayor Walsh, Councilor Wu, no matter who is your target, aren't you and Wu splitting the dissatisfaction vote, which most polls now show isn't that big to begin with?
Well, I'll say I have the utmost respect for both the mayor and my council colleague. I've worked in partnership with both of them, and I will continue to. For the mayor in particular, I think for me, where I am frustrated is on issue after issue with respect to inequities in our school system, access to capital for small businesses, jobs and access to jobs. There's so many inequities where we hear a lot of rhetoric and we haven't seen enough action. And I'm all about action. And with respect to Councilor Wu, we have clearly worked in partnership on the council and will continue that. I got into this race because, one, I feel deeply that this is a profound moment of reckoning in our country and city, and that this is an opportunity for Boston to elect a leader who not only understands the systemic inequities they're dealing with, but has lived them every day. And I'm excited to get out there and introduce myself to voters, many of whom don't know me because I've been a district councilor, and to share why I do this work, which is deeply connected to my personal story and the loss of my twin brother, Andre.